Ladies and gents, what's up? Check it out. You heard it on all the guitar parts on that track at the beginning of the video. It's the IRJ from my buddy Dave Friedman and, of course, Mr. Jake E. Lee. This is the Jake E. Lee version of Friedman's dual tube preamp that features IRs and killer tone. So of course you can use this in a number of different ways. You could plug it in front of a power amplifier or like run it into an amplifier's effects loop. Or you can of course use it with the direct out running right into it, say a recording interface or maybe a mixer for a live setup, and integrate the impulse responses or speaker simulation and power amp simulation that's built in and get a great direct tone, no amplifiers required. Now, of course, this kind of follows hot on the heels of the IRX, the original box that Dave brought out to do this, also the IRD. I've made videos of both those pedals, both this IRX and the IRD. So this is the third version of the pedals in this series. And it's, of course, voiced to emulate the specific circuit that's in the Jake E. Lee amp from Friedman. So basically, you got two channels here. You got kind of a cleaner, sort of more like plexi channel, and then you got the more sort of modded channel, which is kind of like optimized, gained up JCM 800. On channel 1, you get a three-way bright switch, basically no bright, a little bit of bright, a lot of bright. And on channel 2, you also get a three-way bright switch as well, but you also get a gain switch. That's a two-position switch, so you can select kind of two different gain modes, lower gain or higher gain. Now, speaking to the gain voicing on this pedal, you notice in that song at the beginning of the video, I actually did some clean guitars, kind of in the middle breakdown bridge section. And I also did a cleanish, or not really clean, but like medium gain solo on my Strat. I find this pedal is really no slouch on the cleaner end of things. It's got a great, full, very, very nice clean sound, and it worked great with my Strat. I mean, a nice sort of warm on the top end, but still really clear tone for that Strat solo. And that solo on the Strat was done on channel 2, it's the gainier channel, but I just had the gain kind of rolled back a little bit. And even the clean guitars, actually, I did one of them on channel 1 and one of them on channel 2 just with the gain set really low, because I just really liked the sound, like the little bit of sort of pushed clean with a hint of overdrive that still sounds basically clean that I was able to get out of channel 2. I kind of wanted to focus on that in my video, like show some of the cleaner sounds and the mid-gain sounds, because I feel like a lot of folks will probably hit the dirtier stuff and the real high-gain stuff. On each channel, you get a three-way switch there for impulse responses, so you can select your three kind of main cab sims, whatever you want. But if you hook the pedal up, which I have it hooked up right now via USB, to the Friedman editor, you've actually got 18 different cab choices within the editor that you can pick from and choose between and kind of sample. It's just when the pedal is not hooked up via USB, you're going to have your three main choices there. And that's all, once again, configurable in the editor. Some other stuff that you can do within the editor is thump, presence, and also a low-pass filter. That's really nice. And that's part of this new sort of Friedman software update that they've just recently released. It's also actually really cool on the IRX. This is the first pedal I heard with their software update. It just takes the software to kind of another level. Like, this thing always sounded great. But the software just kind of made it sound even more amp-like and dynamic and maybe a little bit more sort of friendly on the top end and just kind of more juicy. And I don't know, it really sounds like an amp now if it didn't before, which it did. So yeah, you got that adjustable thump, presence, and low pass filter in the software, and you can configure that however you want. Now, if you use MIDI with these pedals, you can store that stuff as presets. The thump, the presence, and the low pass filter. If you like a different thump setting or a different presence setting per preset, that's all recallable via MIDI. Kind of cool. I suspect a lot of players are probably just going to dial up their favorite sounds on each channel though, and then just switch between them. And that's kind of what I did in this video. I used the middle setting on the presence, the thump, and the low pass filter for all the sounds in my video. And all the sounds in my video are just done using 3 different impulse responses, which are done, by the way, by Ownhammer. They're terrific sounding. There's a 6402 cone Celestion greenback in a Friedman 412 mic'd up with a 57 and a 421. That's a great sounding IR, so I use that for some of the tones. Also a 70s blackback G12M from 1975, done by Ownhammer as well. 57 421 microphones as well on a Friedman cabinet. That IR sounds terrific. That's probably my favorite. And then an EV speaker as well, EV12L, which is something that Jake was known for using in a Friedman cabinet. And that is mic'd up with a 57 to 421 as well as a Royer 121 added. And I used that for some of the cleaner stuff. Sounds super cool. Now, I haven't mentioned the boost circuit yet on this. The boost is basically a screamer style circuit. It's really, really great sounding. So you've got a separate boost volume there per channel. So the boost volume is kind of an overall volume level. What's going on over here is there's another volume control. I think this is kind of like the screamer volume control boosting into the preamp circuit. So this is hitting the front end of the pedal as it would if you were using something like an SD1 or a screamer in front of an amp. You crank the volume up on the pedal. So that's the way I was running it, with the volume pretty much cranked over here. And then you've got a tone control, and that's just like the tone control from a screamer style circuit. And then the actual gain in the virtual pedal is kind of set, I think, pretty low. It's like a preset gain thing. It does what a screamer does. It tightens up, gives you more sort of mid-range and more articulation, more gain going into the front end of an amplifier. Of course, I used that on the high gain solo. On the Strat, you can actually see me reach over and kick in the boost circuit towards the end of the solo. And you can hear what that does to the tone, exactly what you expect. Just lifts the sound, gave me more sustain, a little bit of boost into the front end. The other features are all really, really similar to what you would expect, you know, what you've seen out of the IRX pedal. You've got an effect loop in there that you can incorporate some effects if you want to. There's a headphone jack. And that's pretty much it, really. So in my video here, I'm just going to show you some of the sounds that are available. I've kind of covered the features, I think. Solo some of those parts outside of the mix, show you how I got some of those tones. This thing couldn't be easier, man. I mean, you just kind of set all the controls on 5. I'm not doing anything fancy. What you hear in this video is what you get. These are the sounds you're going to get if you get one of these things. Okay, let's get on with it. It is the IRJ from Friedman and Jakey Lee. All right, so I just cut my first rhythm guitar part in the song at the beginning of the video. Something like that. I've got the gain up about 3/4 the way up. Bright switch is all the way up. I don't know if that means that's the brightest position or the second to brightest, but it's got a bright cap in anyway. But it's not going to make very much difference when the gain is almost on 10 or 3/4 the way up. Bright will make more difference the lower you get that gain control. I've got the treble on about 1 o'clock or 12:30 actually. Middle's just down a little bit, just scooping out a little bit of mids at like 11 o'clock. Bass is straight up and down. And for the cab sim on this part, let's see, I've got my editor up here. I got it plugged into USB. I'm using the 412 M75 blackback cab. Sounds really good to me. I think that's my favorite one. I'm going to do a double now of this part. I think I'm going to switch up the cab and use the 6402 cone one. And so I'll switch and show you what that sounds like right now. Just a little bit of variety. Just sounds a little bit different, and you know, it'll just make the part sound a little more complex and wide using a different cab sim. All right, I'm gonna do that now. So I wanted to show you the clean sounds I used in the song at the beginning of the video, of course. This is for the middle section in the tune, the kind of halftime down section where I was arpeggiating. So I used both channel 1 and channel 2 to do a double, because channel 2 is no slouch, I discovered, when it comes to low gain or low to mid gain sounds as well as high gain stuff. Okay, check it out. Here's the channel 1 sound. Really great with my Strat neck pickup. For this, I'm using the EV cab sim. Okay, going over to channel 2 now. Check this out. Here's the sound that I doubled with. Nice, right? I mean, I'm running the gain on like, 9 o'clock, real low, but I've got the bright on, gain switch in the low gain position, and it sounds really great with my Strats. Just got a little bit more push, a little bit of grit in the tone, which can be nice for clean sometimes, to push them forward a little bit. In the track, it basically sounds clean. So really, really nice tone. I like that. And it sounds great with my Strat. I bet if I roll the, I'm just going to try this, I'll roll the tone down a bit on the bridge pickup and hit the bridge. Let's see what it sounds like. Sounds pretty cool. That's the EV. I could get a little darker and go maybe to the blackback cab. Might even warm it up and kind of mask the grind a bit and be a cool kind of, low gain tone. Cool sound with the Strat. Hey, thanks for watching my video on the IRJ from Friedman and from Jake E. Lee. Just a killer sounding dual tube preamp version of his JEL amplifiers. You got a killer clean channel there, highly configurable that you can also grind up a little bit if you want to, and then that great sounding overdrive channel. It's also got a really wide gain range, can be nice and just kind of almost like a gritty clean at low gain, all the way up to searing high gain. The pedal always stays warm and really articulate and really, really good sounding. And then if you want more, kick it over the top, you hit that boost circuit that's like a screamer, kick either channel, and it just sounds awesome. If you're a fan of Jake or just a fan of great hard rock or even just straight up rock and roll tones or rootsy tones, this thing is just terrific. Really impressed with this series, both the IRX, the IRD, as well as the IRJ. They're all great. Click the link down there in the video description below to take you to more info about the IRJ from Jake E. Lee and Friedman. Just awesome sounding. This is a full-blown tube preamp in a pedal. As guitar players, we live in a time of abundance. It's fantastic. Thanks so much for watching. I am Pete Thorne. Take care. Over now.